Let us catch up with Tim Blair, the blogger to the nation, Daily Telegraph columnist from his bush hideaway. How you going, mate?
Very good, very good. I've gone with a nautical theme today, so
It's
a bit outside the bush.
Very nautical indeed. Tell us about what's happening in the States. I can't wait to see what's going to unfold in the midterms tomorrow. You've written about how Joe Biden and the Democrats have lost a lot of big supporters. The American public have started to see through a lot of Joe Biden's media fan club.
Well, as well, the media have turned against Joe. You've got people like CNN saying that he's making up stuff, he's got inaccurate information, he's spreading misinformation, in fact, the very worst thing you can do, apparently, in the modern era. So the CNN, the New York Times, various Democrat-inclined outlets, they might have just preemptively decided they don't want to be associated with Joe the loser as compared to Joe the winner from 2020.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of talk about this red wave being massive tomorrow that will portray him as a loser. I mean, he's going to lose anyway, right? He's going to lose the House, but it could be a lot bigger than that if he loses the House and the Senate emphatically. I want to talk a little bit. We can't avoid his problems in connecting with reality. I want to go back to this grab from Joe Biden. Just a couple of weeks ago, actually, we often say he doesn't know what day it is. Well, in this grab, he doesn't seem to know what century it is. Have a look.
Well, if anybody think if we're doing it for the first time now in the 21st century, going into the 20th, from the 20th century going into the second quarter of the 21st century, that we'd say 12 years is enough? Think 12 years is enough going into 20, 30, 40, 50?
Look, it's quite painful to watch, right? I've watched it 10 times now. I don't know what he was talking about, but I tell you, I got to show you this next clip because this clip from today shows, forget about what century we're in. He doesn't know what millennium we're in.
Called me up and said they're going to go all electric by 2035.
All electric now with the cars by 2035. We've only got just over 1,000 years to switch to electric cars.
And it might not be enough time even then. Although, I now find myself broadly in support of Joe Biden's ambitious 1,000-year agenda, because I think a lot of people who enjoy their petrol and diesel vehicles might be in the same boat. Go, Joe.
It's a much more realistic agenda, isn't it? We'll make the transition over 1,000 years.
No one can accuse him of not looking ahead. Granted, that ahead is some time beyond his current and only term. But you've always got to be ambitious.
All right. Well, he's going 1,000 years ahead. Let's try and go 6 months to a year ahead. Tell me, what do you think about the prospect of a Republican nomination contested by Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump? Who would you be backing in there?
I'd back DeSantis, but I say bring on the competition. There are a number of conservative commentators in the US who want Trump to either back out or DeSantis to back out and let the road be clear. No, that's not the conservative way. You want to have competition. You want to have them to duke it out. And I notice Donald Trump has preemptively done that. This week, I think he came up with the nickname Ron DeSanctimonious, which is not. It's not bad. Not the Donald's. I don't know. It's a bit too long for a headline. There's issues with it. It doesn't fit. It's not snappy.
I'm a broadsheet guy. I can think sanctimony in there. Hey, I want to go to the COP meeting in Egypt, right? And so the globe is facing dire environmental problems and economic challenges to deal with it, and we should be serious and rational. You'd look for some leadership from the UN, wouldn't you? You look for calm, rational language from the head of the United Nations. Have a listen to him.
Humanity has a choice: cooperate or perish. It is either a climate solidarity pact or a collective suicide pact.
This is Antonio Guterres running the UN. He says, cooperate or perish. Do what I say or you're going to cop it. And he says we're on a suicide pact. Later on, he actually said we're on a highway to hell with our foot on the accelerator. Who knew he was an AC/DC fan?
I love that spinning semi-globe behind him that says the world's been slashed in half and the remaining stump of it's being powered by wind turbines. It's also interesting that what we're watching here is not just the COP27. I think its full title is the Coca-Cola COP27, because Coca-Cola have the naming rights, or they're a major sponsor at least, and Coca-Cola's drinks depend on a huge amount, I understand, of carbon dioxide. Is that the case? What's going on there?
Those bubbles coming up through the Coke, I believe that is CO2. Same as coming out of your champagne after your COP meeting as well. And some CO2 is good CO2, according to those dudes. Hey, talk about highway to hell. I want to show you a clip from the ABC's Media Watch last night. They're worried that now Elon Musk is in charge of Twitter, it'll descend into being some cesspit of abuse and political partisanship. Have a listen.
Oh, no.
Also watching closely are the mainstream media, who are big players on Twitter. And if Musk opens up the floodgates to misinformation, fake news and hate speech, you can expect journalists and media companies to take their leave as well. Indeed, we hear our very own ABC is weighing up if it wants to remain on Twitter under Musk's new world order.
This dude is on Twitter. Paul Parry's on Twitter. He knows what hate speech is.
Well, let's see. You wouldn't want Twitter to be open to misinformation, would you?
No.
Such as Russian collusion or half the things that ABC staffers have been writing on Twitter over the years. These people are so blind to their prejudices, and they actually imagine that their way is the straight and pure truth, when their biases are all so often exposed, oftentimes, in cases of ABC personalities, exposed in court.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the ABC off of Twitter, that'll just about kill it. Poor old Elon Musk. Thanks for joining us, Tim. I appreciate it.
Good on you, mate.